Good evening and welcome to the Homewood City Council meeting for November 28th. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. We're going to start with an invocation from our own Councilor Smith, and if you'll remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, appreciate that.
You'll bow your heads. In Paul's letter to the Thessalonians, he lays out the rules for what it means to be a Christian. But in the end, in 1 Thessalonians 5:16 through 18, he gives these simple words: rejoice always, pray continually, and in everything give thanks. For this week after Thanksgiving, God, we give you thanks and praise for the bounty of grace and blessings that come from your hand. We express gratitude for life and health and well-being. We thank you for the meaningful work we do and for the opportunities and gifts that abound in this city that we all love. We thank you for the opportunity to serve others, particularly those who are in need. Bear fruit in us and through us, O God, as we seek to serve the world in which we live in your name. Bless this meeting and those in attendance. Call us to a life consistent with gratitude and in response to your grace. In the name of Jesus, for whom we give thanks. Amen.
Amen. If you'll face the flag. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Thank you so much for that message. Okay, Ms. Salter, if you'll call roll for us, please.
Yes, sir. Councilor Gwaltney?
Here.
Councilor Geer? Here. Councilor Allemond? Here. Councilor Wolverton? Here. Councilor Sims?
Here.
Councilor Smith?
Here.
Councilor Nelms?
Here.
Councilor Andrus?
Here.
Councilor Harden?
Here.
President Wyatt? And Councilor Jones filling in for President.
I'm here.
You have one absent, but you have a quorum.
All right. All right. We have the minutes that have been distributed for November 14th. Is there a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes and approve them as distributed?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by Mrs. Smith, second by Mr. Harden. I think I heard you.
No.
No. Is that all you?
No. Yeah, he's the only one
I thought
who
all
did
y'all
the
said at the
second.
same time. How about Ms. Nelms? Ms. Nelms.
Is that Smith and
seconded that.
Nelms? Okay.
You have to forgive my hearing tonight after the Alabama-Auburn game. It was kind of loud in there. So, okay, so the motion's been seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign? So we have 10 people here. All right, so 10-0, that passes. Okay, we have board vacancies. We have two, I believe. So, Mr. Sims, I believe you have the Complete Streets Advisory Board.
Yes, we had an at-large opening for the Complete Streets Advisory Committee, and we received one letter of interest from Witt Sides for that role. So I'd like to make a motion to appoint Witt Sides to the Complete Streets Advisory Committee.
Okay.
Second.
Got a motion, seconded by Mrs. Smith. And just for clarification, I was a little confused about this, but this is the one appointment, so we don't have more than one. We have that one appointment, so this would be our appointment. Then we'd have one from the mayor, and then the planning commission would have one as well. So just for clarification on that. So this would be our one person from council. So it's been motioned and seconded. Any questions, comments? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. That passes 10-0. Congratulations to Witt Sides.
I'll email her as well.
That would be great. Thank you. Okay, and then the only other appointment we had from Ward 2 was the Beautification Board. And unfortunately, we did not get any applicants unless the two of you know of any applicants.
We've reached out to a few people personally, but nobody yet. So I guess, I'm inclined to open it. I mean, I know it's
How about-
but after.
Yeah,
till
maybe
after the
like
new year.
January 9th or something.
That would be my inclination, so.
Okay, let's just, Ms. Salter, let's just open that until January 9th.
Yes, sir.
2023.
Will do.
Hard to say that, but Yeah, so and I'm sure by then, after the holiday, we'll find somebody. So, appreciate that. Okay, any other board vacancies we need to be aware of or that are open? Okay. There are 4 additions to the agenda. And so they're going to be, these 3 are going to be for committee referral. So I'll read those out to you. So under committee referral, 251122, request for consideration of a no parking ordinance for Waverly, coming to us from Councilors Andrus and Smith. That'll be going to public safety. Next would be 261122, request to sign contract for services and pay FY 22-23 appropriation to the Bell Center, coming to us from Mr. Burgett and Ms. Salter. That'll go to finance. 271122, request for permission to work within the city right-of-way along Central at 1722 28th Avenue South, coming to us from Mr. Smith and Reeves Construction. That'll go to Public Works Committee. Okay, and then the last item would be 281122. This would be going under new business, and this would be to request to change the council meeting in December from the 26th, move that up to the 19th. I figured the council, no, we would change the request would be to change the meeting that was scheduled for the 26th, move that up a week to the 19th.
And we would do committees and council on the same night?
Committees and committees and council meeting on the 19th.
That's what it meant, sorry.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's right. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's all of the additions. Does anyone have any additions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that is Mrs. Smith, and I think that was Mr. Qualman.
Yes.
Okay. All right, any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. It passes 10-0. So here we go. Consent agenda. We just have one item on the consent agenda. So is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Smith, second by Councilor Nels. Any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. That passes 10-0. Okay, old business, 011122, a request for consideration to pay 22-23 budget appropriation to the Birmingham Zoo, coming to us from Mr. Burgett, and we have a report from Finance. I've asked Mrs. Smith to report from Finance tonight.
Yes, the committee met last week and voted 3-0 to recommend approving the payment of the Birmingham Zoo's allocation. Motion was made by myself and seconded by Mr. Harden.
Great, thank you, Councilor Smith.
Can I
Yes,
ask
sir.
a quick question?
Sure.
I was not here last week, but my understanding was there was some discussion about a Homewood Day that was dedicated, and
Yes, but I believe it's gonna be in
don't remember seeing it
April.
or hearing it advertised last year, so I was just trying to see.
Yeah, I think, yes, and I think we said it was going to be sometime in April, if I remember correctly.
I'll try to make myself a
I think they gave us April and May.
April and May is the options, and I
Yeah,
think we
so
were
there were
supposed to
two
back-
dates. We
Sure.
can,
Maybe
and
June.
the mayor was going to, when he signed the agreement, pick a date that would work better for everybody. So if you have a
Okay.
preference on those dates, please let the mayor know,
I mean,
and he can.
I think in general, the cooler
Yeah,
month,
the cooler, the
probably.
better, probably. Yeah.
So,
Might have been on me for not letting y'all know last year about the day. They did pick a date last year, but I don't remember if we marked it, so I'll try to follow it.
yeah, I thought that they had said, a year ago that they were gonna help advertise and market, and I just. so
Yeah.
They weren't gonna leave it all to us, but I just didn't remember seeing
Well,
that,
we'll
so.
put it on our website when we get that, and
Sure.
then we'll do everything we can to get the word out. And I know every ward has a newsletter, so we'll put that out, but we appreciate them doing that. Okay, so we have the report from Finance. It does not require a second. Any other questions on it? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. That passes 10-0. That'll be Resolution 22-197. And Mr. Kendrick, if you'll just keep me straight if I get off on my numbers.
You're doing fine.
Okay, good. Okay, next we have 11-11-22, a request for consideration to declare a total 2014 police Tahoe, as well as miscellaneous items. So we have a report from finance on this.
Yes, committee met last week and voted 3-0 to recommend approving the surplus items. And the motion was made by myself and seconded by Mr. Harden.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that report, 3-0. For this, we just need, I would request a motion for unanimous consent to look at this.
I forgot.
Oh, we
Yeah,
need to have the
to-
first reading, Mr. Kendrick.
It's an ordinance to declare certain personal property as surplus. It's hereby established and declared the following described personal property identified in Exhibit A is no longer needed for public or municipal purpose, therefore declared surplus property. Section 2, that the mayor and the clerk be authorized and directed to dispose of the Tahoe by conveyance to travelers as part of an insurance claim settlement, and to dispose of the items listed in Exhibit A by auction to the highest bidder.
Thank you, Mr. Kendrick. Is there a motion for unanimous consent?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Okay, I believe that was Mrs. Andrus. I'm sorry.
Mr. Harden. What?
Smith and-
Harden.
and Harden.
Do
Thank
we-
you, thank
Do
you.
I sound like
It
Counselor
was what
Harden?
else?
Smith and Harden.
You must really.
I told y'all to be nice to me tonight.
That masculine of a voice.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Yes, sir. Counselor Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Counselor Gear?
Yes.
Counselor Allamon? Yes. Counselor Wolverton?
Yes.
Counselor Sims?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Sorry, I got you out of order. Counselor Smith?
Yes.
Counselor Nelms?
Yes.
Counselor Andrus?
Yes.
And President Harden. I mean, Counselor Harden.
Yes.
I'm totally messed up today.
President Harden, there you go.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on over.
I didn't even eat that much Thanksgiving,
I'm
to be
gonna
still
let-
I got my
I'm gonna
brains
let-
fried.
President Harden finish the meeting here.
Yeah, thank you. No, thank you.
I'm confused because you moved
I
over to President
know, I
White. I'm
know.
sorry. I'll do
I would
better.
make a motion
Okay.
to approve.
Okay, so that motion, that's a. is that
Second.
correct? Okay, good. No, that's approved. Okay. Okay, so that, the unanimous consent is 10-0. Okay, so now, and Mr. Kendrick, I have a question. If we have we have the recommendation from finance, do we require a motion and a second from the floor?
No, sir.
Okay, good. So we
Don't
already
need a
have the motion from finance, doesn't require a second. So if you'll have a roll call vote for the ordinance.
Counselor Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Counselor Gear?
Yes.
Counselor Allamon?
Yes.
Counselor Wolverton?
Yes.
Counselor Sims?
Yes.
Counselor Smith?
Yes.
Counselor Nelms?
Yes.
Counselor Andrus?
Yes.
Counselor Harden?
Yes.
And President Pro Tem Jones.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, that passes 10-0. So thank you for that. That'll be ordinance number 2856.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next item, 12-11-22. Request to set a bid opening for street signs. We had, this was not sent out by finance.
No, we carried it over, and I did have a text back from Randy, because I had texted him during the meeting, and he basically said anytime in January is fine to set the bid date. The original bid date that they were thinking of doing it turned out to be Martin Luther King Day, but he said he's happy for us to set it when we have our meeting in December.
Well, yeah, President White, we initially said with Randy, the last meeting, that the 16th, and then that's when I went to realize in my calendar that was Martin Luther King. I think January is a little bit complicated because the 2nd and the 16th are holidays, but I think he was one that said, I thought President White was on the 23rd.
Okay.
January 23rd, so that we'd have time to get the bid specs out and to the people and get them back.
Yeah, the request was the 23rd
Okay,
at
so we want to,
4:45.
so do we want to go ahead and make
Go
a
ahead,
motion
go-
to?
yeah, just get-
Okay,
yeah, move
I'll
that
make a
up.
motion to set the bid opening for the street signs for January the 23rd at 4:45.
On Monday,
Okay.
1/23/23, correct?
Yes.
Moved by Mrs.
123,
Smith, and I
23.
see a second by Mr. Harden.
I'll second.
Is that right? Okay.
Pointing down there to Carlos, but he didn't say.
Oh, where are you pointing? Okay, So it's been motioned, seconded to set the bid date for the January the 23rd at 4:45. Any other questions on that? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed by the same sign. That's 10-0. That passes. All right. 150622, request for permission to work within the right-of-way at Reese Street, 16th Street, and alleys surrounding 1707 Reese Street, coming to us from Mr. Smith. And in terms of Public Works, let's see, this was one that the recommendation was to carry this over, is that correct?
Yes, the parties are still in discussions. We're actually having a conference call on Wednesday to discuss it with the two parties that are in different items, and they would request that it be carried over tonight, and I have made it clear that by the meeting on December 12th, we need to have an option to
Right.
vote on.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so without objection, we'll carry this item over. Well, thank you for that. We'll handle this in December, the 12th meeting. Okay, moving on, 031122, request for permission to work within right-of-way at 911 Westover Drive to remove a pine tree. And this was a report from Public Works, and Mr. Sims, are you going to report out? that you chaired
Yes,
the meeting? Okay.
Public Works met on November 21st and voted 3-0 to recommend approval pending the indemnification agreement. Motion was made by Counselor Gear and seconded by Counselor Harden.
Thank you, Mr. Sims, for that report. The motion is before. Any questions, comments on the recommendation? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. That passes 10-0. That's Resolution 22-198. 051122, request for permission to work within right-of-way at 207 Yorkshire Drive to remove a pecan tree. We're dealing with lots of trees tonight. Okay, and again, a report from Public Works. Mr. Sims.
Yes, committee met and voted 3-0 to recommend approval pending the indemnification agreement. Also included a proffer by the homeowner to pay into the tree fund, and the motion was made by Counselor Harden and seconded by Counselor Gear.
Thank you, Mr. Sims. Any questions, comments on this particular item? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. That passes 10-0. That's Resolution 22-199. Okay, 050522, public hearing continued from October 10th at 6 p.m. for vacation of right-of-way of 16th Street adjacent to 2901 Central Avenue. This, again, is similar to the one before it, that we're going to, without objection, we're going to carry this over until the December 12th meeting. Any questions on that? Okay, so we'll carry that over without objection. 111022, public hearing set for November 14th at 6 p.m. For consideration of sign variance at 2712 18th Place South. Let's see, we got Mr. Brandt, and then a report from Special Issues.
Yes.
This was I believe this was already reported out, was it not?
No, we carried it over the first time because they were doing some redesign on their plan, so we actually heard about it in committee just last week. So no, it had not been previously reported out. Or maybe it had been, but that's right, we did, but we did report it out again. It's coming out of committee with a recommendation, with no recommendation pending the public hearing, the continuation of the public hearing tonight.
Okay, so we are going to, I guess, continue the public hearing tonight. So I don't know if I need to, we're continuing, okay? And I guess we'll have comments from the public at this point. So are there any comments from?
Mr. Brandt's here, I see.
Yeah.
Come on up. And I know we have some, we have some
yeah,
images
Mr.
too.
Smith was,
Good afternoon. I'm filling in for Wyatt tonight. He couldn't be here. So this is permission for a second wall sign, and numbers variance. And Mr. Brandt's here to speak.
Yeah, yes, I can speak to this. So essentially, Homewood Code says for District 2, you can have one building sign. We're asking that we would be allowed a second sign, built similarly as the one on the opposite side of what you're seeing here, except just a bit bigger. Code says that they can have a sign that's 199 square feet based on their storefront. We're asking for something that's, I think the sum total is less than half of that. It's thank you. Yes, ma'am, I will. And so really what it is at the 18th Place South, what this second proposed sign does is allow people to identify the business as they're traveling south on 18th Street, or 18th Place, I'm sorry. They're having a problem with people identifying the building as they're traveling south, and you basically drive past it is the problem. And so this second sign would alleviate that. This is a very nice, well-built sign. It's got raised lettering. It's got curb appeal. It's not a piece of sheet metal that's going up. It's not a lighted sign. They don't need that type of sign, but they do need additional signage. District 2 does not allow for like a monument sign. That would solve the problem, but there really wouldn't be any place to put it anyway. And so a second sign would alleviate that problem of visibility and identifiability coming both directions on 18th Place South. And really, that's the long and short of it.
Yeah, and just to, this is behind the Valley Hotel on that street, and the sign that they have currently is right next to their front door. And
like a
you,
plaque.
obviously, you can't, yeah, it's a plaque sign next to the front door, and you can't see that, obviously, if you're driving to their office and trying to find it, because it's right next to the front door and it's not very large. So the explanation was that the hardship is that they have nothing else to identify their building to capture people who are coming to their office on the street. So this would be on the street side. And like you said, it's not illuminated, it's just the name of the company on the building.
Okay, and Mr. Brandt, if you can hold on a second. And you have a beard since the last time I saw you.
I missed a
Okay.
spot.
Okay. Are there any other comments from the public? Anyone want to speak to this item? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And are there additional comments questions from the council?
If no one has a comment, I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Smith, and I heard Mrs. Andrus that time. It wasn't.
It's not hard.
It wasn't President Harden, I
It's
promise.
not hard.
Okay, it's been motion seconded. Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. That's 10-0. Resolution 22-200.
Lucky 200. Thank you all
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you. Okay, 06-11-22, request for consideration of variances to the tent ordinance and permission for tents in the right-of-way at 1830 29th Avenue South from Soho Social. We have a report from Special Issues, Mrs. Smith.
Yes, and I think that I'm looking at this, I think we sent this out like it was going to be a public hearing, but
It was not.
there's not a public hearing.
No,
Yeah,
there's
you-
not a public
there's
hearing.
not. You asked the
Um,
question, and I said there was not a public hearing.
Because the minutes that I have actually say public hearing, but that's not right. Yeah, so. Yeah, no, because there's not, there doesn't need to be one for a tent variance, which we discussed in committee. It's just my minutes are wrong. So anyway, which is my bad, because we'll definitely not approve the minutes next time. So we voted 4-0 to approve this item with the caveat of, first of all, I'd like to say these tents were put up prior to them coming to committee. They were up without a permit. And when they came to committee, there they are.
Thank you, Brian.
And it is multiple variances, and we are aware of that. They had already booked holiday parties to occur in the tents, and not wanting to ruin people's holiday plans. We granted the variances that they requested with the caveat that the final party, I believe, is on December 27th. and the tents have to come down the next day. They had originally asked that they stay up through, I believe, January, maybe into February. I can't remember. It was a long time, and we weren't down with that. So the tents are to come down immediately after that last holiday party, which is on, I believe, December 27th. So the variances are good until then. We are not, this is not something that we're going to do in the future. And everyone else who's ever done a tents variance, they're usually for short periods of time, and they come for permits in advance. This did not happen in this case, but we did move 4-0 to approve, and that was Ms. Andrus made the motion and Mr. Sims seconded it.
Thank you, Counselor Smith. Yes.
I'm sorry, I've done two resolutions. One's the variance and the second one's working the right of way identification.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Those-
I'm sorry, I forgot about that second part.
Do we need
of
to do
the
those
property.
separately? Or,
I drafted them separately.
Okay,
Okay.
so, but we moved to approve all of it with the proper indemnification agreement, so.
okay. So let's do the first one, would be the variance, okay? And that's been recommended by finance, so we don't need a second. Any questions on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign? Okay, that passes 10-0. And then the next one,
It's the right of way permit with indemnification.
okay, so that will be in the next motion, which was also made by finance.
This is by special issues.
I'm
Both of
sorry,
those are
special issues, sorry about that. And then, so that first one was passed 22, and that was 201 is the resolution number. Okay, so the second one been recommended by special issues. Any questions on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. That passes 10-0, and that's resolution 22-202. Thank you, Mr. Kendrick, and thank you, Mrs. Smith. All right, you're not finished yet. 07-11-22, public hearing set for November 28th at 6 p.m. for consideration of a secondary front yard fence setback variance at 1632 28th Avenue South. Coming to us from April Bloomingberg and Mr. Pugh. Do we have a report from Special Issues, Mrs. Smith?
We do. This one actually does have a public hearing, and we voted 4-0 to refer the item out to full council without recommendation pending the public hearing tonight. Motion was made by Ms. Gear and seconded by Ms. Andrus.
Okay, we have that report. Thank you for that. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing. And if we could have comments from the public, if you come up to speak, if you'll sign in, please. Or are there any additional comments that you want to open us up, Mr. Smith?
Sorry, I was trying to track down the indemnification agreement for those guys. So Brian, I think, has, yeah, there we are. Consideration for a front yard fence.
And if I'm remembering correctly, this is a corner lot, so it is a secondary front yard fence on the side of the house. That's correct? Yes.
That's correct.
Or the chain link?
Yes. Ms. Bloomingberg, is that, yeah, you want to come up so you can, because Mr. Pugh's not here tonight, so I think we're just, if you can just remind us, I think y'all are taking down the chain link fence, correct?
Where you see the chain link in the front, it's coming down all the way to where the back of the house is. It will start at the very back of the house and then go down the side where the existing chain link fence is. And then it will go in front of a park pad, and the rest of the chain link will come down to acquire us more parking.
Okay.
And then it will come across the park pad and then back to so there's an existing carport right there. So
Yeah.
it will come right there and then over and then come into the back building.
Okay. And I believe this is considered a secondary front yard fence simply because it is on a corner lot. And
Correct.
that's why it's considered. And I can't,
signatures from neighbors.
yeah, and I can't remember if the,
If they're in support.
is there a setback situation too? I can't remember. There is, so
I
it,
think it's
it,
supposed to be 15 feet and it's,
and that would like be, and the 15 feet would be like inside y'all's house or something.
oh yeah.
Yeah, that would be, yeah, okay, so that's, so it is, it's the secondary front yard fence, but it's also a setback variance because of a secondary front yard fence, it's required to have a 15-foot setback from the property line, which would essentially put it through the middle of the house. So there's a there's a variance on the setback as well.
Okay, and before we go to council comments, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to this item?
And could you,
Oh, I didn't, but I
and go
will.
ahead and give her, go
Yeah,
ahead
did
and
you
give
have
Melody your
something-
signatures too, so she can have those for the record.
And did you have anything additional to present, or do we
I mean,
have?
I just
Well, you
had
brought your
media,
laptop
but
up, so I didn't know
wasn't sure
if-
if you guys would be worried about coming off the alleyway and it being in the way, but honestly, that huge oak tree is the only thing that's gonna be in the way. The fence is, it doesn't hinder being able to see when you're leaving the alleyway behind my house.
And I think Wyatt said last week that he didn't have any, there weren't any kind of sightline or obstruction issues that he thought were,
He said he didn't think it would be an issue.
yeah.
So, may I ask a question? Are you replacing that with a chain link fence? Are you replacing it with another fence? What,
Privacy fence,
a privacy fence?
6-foot privacy fence, a wood fence.
A wooden,
The chain link is coming down, and the
Okay.
privacy fence will start at the back of the house.
Yeah, as you head towards the alley, I guess.
Yes.
And then, is there a drop off after that fence? Or does it go straight into your, it's flat there? I mean,
The whole part that the fence will exist on is flat.
okay. And so what you're asking us is because you've got a double front yard, because you're on a corner lot, you're asking to replace that with a privacy fence?
Not that exact footprint, but yes.
There's a little bit more
We're do-
fence.
We're not doing all of the chain link, all of that's not being replaced. But what is running in our backyard / on what is currently the chain link fence.
So there's, anytime you make a change to a fence that's a secondary front yard, you have to come and get a variance.
Right.
You can't just tear it down and replace it. It has to, because it requires a variance. And also this one requires a setback variance too, because of the location of it, but Wyatt did comment that he had looked at it and he did not think there was any kind of sightline problems with it.
Motion to approve?
It's public hearing, it's open.
Yeah, he's got to.
But thank you, sir.
okay, so any other questions? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and close the public hearing. Comments from the council, you would, motion from Councilor Allamon to move to approve,
Second.
and that's second by Mr. Gwaltney.
And it needs an indemnification agreement because it's working the right of way as well? Is that part of your motion?
Yes.
Oh, I thought with the setback, I thought that was, oh, the right of way.
No, yeah, it's on private property. It's not in, yeah, okay. It's been motion seconded. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. That passes 10-0. That's resolution 22-203. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on to 08-11-22. Public hearing set for tonight, 28th at 6 p.m. for consideration of secondary front yard fence setback variance and permission to work in the right-of-way at 1400 Roseland Drive. We have a report from Special Issues.
Yes, this also was on our agenda last week, and we voted 4-0 to send this out to full council without a recommendation pending the public hearing tonight, and the motion was made by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Mr. Sims.
Thank you for that, Mrs. Smith. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing. And give us a report on this, please.
What I know about this one is that a tree took the fence down, and this one is in the right of way. So she's asking
Yeah, I
for
remember this
permission-
conversation, yeah.
Right, she's asking for permission to replace in the same location and an indemnification agreement.
And the Prans are here, if they would want to.
Yeah, come on
You can
up.
come on up and speak to
Sign
it.
in and can provide some additional.
This is the same, it's the other, it's two resolutions, because it was in two different days.
Okay. Variance and then the indemnification.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for, hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Yeah, a tree damaged the fence, really just took it out. And we would just like to repair the fence and make it exactly the way it was.
So you're not replacing that whole fence, you're just repairing the,
No, the damage was so extensive that it took out the whole side there of the fence. The structure itself was a really big tree.
it's a 6-foot privacy fence you're putting back up?
Yes, sir.
I believe y'all discussed, it's going to be exactly the
Exactly
same
the
as
same.
what was there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And I think there's also the reason that the fence is kind of out into the right of way is because of those large trees in the back that are
Yes, ma'am.
already where they are.
Yep, we bought the house 5 years ago, and that fence and those trees were there.
Okay, any other comments from the public? There aren't many people in the public left, but, so, hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing.
I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
Who was that made?
Mary. And I seconded it.
Okay, Mrs. Smith and Mr. Gwaltney seconded that. Okay, so is that your motion for both the variance and the indemnification?
Well, I think.
You have to do it separately.
Yeah, you're
Well,
right.
let's do it separately. Okay, so this will be for the variance. Been motion seconded. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. That's 10-0, that passes. Okay, so that's for the variance, and then for the indemnification?
Motion to approve.
Okay,
Second.
okay, so that was Mrs. Smith, and I believe that was Mr. Gwaltney again for the indemnification. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. 10-0, that passes. So the first one, the variance was Resolution 22-204, and the indemnification is 22-205.
Thank y'all.
Okay,
Great,
thank you.
Thank you so much.
You love spending time here. All right. Okay, moving on to 09/11/22. Public hearing set for November 28th at 6 PM for consideration of a commercial front yard fence variance and permission to work in the right-of-way at 217 Oxmoor Circle. Coming to us from Stuart Robinson, Mr. Pugh, and then Mrs. Smith, a report from Special Issues, please.
Yes, we heard a presentation. This is actually a business, but they are required to have a front yard fence variance as well. So we met and voted 4-0 to refer this item out to full council without a recommendation pending the public hearing tonight. Motion was made by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Ms. Gear.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Okay. And I will go ahead and open up the public hearing. So welcome. You're Mr. Robinson?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Welcome.
Here in representing Homewood City Schools, that they have purchased this building with the intentions of putting their IT department in the very front of the building, which would be this end of the building. The back end of the building will be warehouse, and they'll be using it for their maintenance department. And they would like to fence in the little portion of the parking lot in the back right there for security purposes for their maintenance equipment and things like that they're gonna be keeping in the back.
And let me remind everybody, we actually took off the work in the right-of-way
We did.
portion of this item
That's right.
because the school board, I believe, wanted to move the fence back to the property line to the fence line.
Right, they were, and rather than put it into the right of way, they wanted to put it into the asphalt so that they wouldn't have to maintain the grass around the fence line.
Right.
So our fence post and our fence line will actually be inside the line of the asphalt on all sides, on both sides here.
So this is really just the fence, it's just the fence variance and not the work in the right-of-way portion.
Okay.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Pennington? I was by there the other day. It looks like the fence has already been somewhat put up. Am I wrong? I see some black stuff in the
Some poles.
poles, yeah.
Yeah, when we came to get the permit, we didn't understand that there was gonna be a problem, and the crew was already lined up to put the poles in. They drilled in the asphalt and put the poles up, and we stopped them until we could get this
Okay.
straightened out.
I was just curious.
So what are you gonna tell them if we don't approve this?
Cut them down and cover them up.
Okay, good. All right, any other questions? Anyone from the public want to speak? Okay, hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Okay, council, any other questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, Mrs. Smith, and I believe I heard Mr. Harden on that one. It might have been Mrs. Nels. Okay, we'll give it to Harden. All right. Harden. Yeah, yeah. Okay, any other questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. That is, passes 10-0, 22-206.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're running out of the public here, so. 06/06/22, public hearing set for November 28th at 6 PM to consider amending the city's zoning ordinance to include the fence ordinance. We have a report from Mrs. Andrus.
Counselor Aleman, if all things go according to plan, that could have been the very last fence ordinance variance request that we ever rule on.
I would provide a standing ovation if I felt like standing up.
Thanks to Counselor Aleman. The committee met and voted 5-0 to set a public hearing and refer this item back to the full council without recommendation pending the public hearing. The motion was made by Counselor Nelms and seconded by Counselor Gwaltney.
Okay.
Is that from last week?
No.
No, it was a while
It's been a while back,
That's right,
I
because
think.
we had the public hearing. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, now one caveat that I will mention that will be like I know you'll love to hear this, but as I understand, this ordinance, we'll go ahead and, let's go ahead and go through the motions, then I'll provide this for you. So let's open the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? I'm glad we had one.
I can talk for as briefly or as much as you want to. I think the ordinance has been sent to everyone, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. And I'll let Counselor Jones rain on your parade in a second.
Yeah, because I was about to say, I'm looking at my agenda for next committee meetings,
'cause we
and
already said
there are
that.
at least 3.
Okay, well,
on there.
so that's really what I was gonna mention, is that
Sorry.
no,
Tried.
no, we're not sending it back out, but okay, so any other comments? Okay, so hearing none, we're gonna close the public hearing. So I'll mention that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Mr. Kendrick, if this ordinance is approved, it would go into effect, March 1st of 2023.
You want to effect whenever you want it.
Tomorrow.
So it could go into effect
Well,
earlier.
it's published to go into effect immediately, but that's not a substantial change.
Yeah, I had, Ms. Salter, I saw some notes about requesting a 90-day window. What was that about?
That's what we said.
So when we were going through the ordinance, we received comments back from several contractors that said they already had
Projects in the
multiple
works.
projects and they're currently in design, and this changes up some of that for them. So instead of going back and starting from the beginning of their design, they asked if we could delay this from going into effect for 90 days.
This is completely up to the council. We could make it effective tomorrow, or we could, the contractors,
I think if we could, because I do have 2 fence already on the schedule on my agenda for the Special Issues Committee meeting on December 6th, maybe we could make it go into effect on December 31st.
Yeah, I think that we can complete the ones that already are on deck. but
Yeah.
Everyone else
And
is
then
gonna start
everything
the
else.
process.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I
and-
agree.
and this-
We'll deal with the ones that we have and we won't take any more.
And this has been on the agenda for months and months and
Right.
months now, so it's not like we didn't have time to get them on the agenda before now. so.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sorry if somebody has a project, they're just gonna have to
Okay.
deal with it with BZA.
Well, all
Okay,
the main, I
so-
mean, we just changed some definition. I mean, it wasn't, it's not detrimental to their design work. The changes that,
Just a different body here.
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So I think we deal with the 2 that we have on the agenda for December. We don't take any more agenda additions for fence ordinances. and we
December 31st.
Make it go into effect on
2022.
December.
Okay,
Can I just ask a clarification?
I've got a question.
Mr. Sim,
Why don't we make it January 1st?
January 1st. January 1st, okay. Mr. Sims, you have a
Kale,
a
could you
question.
just elaborate on what that feedback and rationale was? Does it have to do with the process? Because is the timeline different, or is it just the body that it's going to? Or is there other feedback as far as why there would be a rationale for delay? Because I
Right.
don't see it,
So-
I just
so
want to know.
Specifically, when we change, and this ordinance changes the definition of interior lots and sort of clarifies some of that, interior lots, corner lots, rear yards, and front yards, and it draws the diagram a little differently than what we currently interpret the zoning as. So if you want to have an attached garage or carport on the back of your house, and you've got a driveway coming into it, that's a different thing than what we currently have to where we're going, if that makes any sense.
But can't they just pitch that to BZA?
They could pitch that to BZA.
I mean, they can
That's
pitch
right.
that to BZA just like they can pitch it to us.
Right.
So-
And honestly, I feel like most of the issues that they had with this originally have already come through permitting, so
And that was
I don't know of any specific projects that are coming up where this would
I
create
think you
adverse
just answered
effects.
my question, which was, these variances would go to BZA because they're a zoning variance, right? No bueno. I like the changes, good work. Don't like it going to BZA.
The ordinance would not go into effect until it's posted. So you can adopt the published version, and the city clerk just not publish it in January.
That works for me. I
Mr.
think that's-
Budget, well, can I ask a question then? Let me ask this question. If we are not meeting past the 12th, why don't we just put it into effect on December 13th?
We are meeting on the 19th.
Meeting on the 19th.
19th. Then why don't we just put it into effect on the 20th, or, I mean, those last 10 days are,
He just said the first.
January 1st is clean.
I think we're trying to make it.
okay,
It's just nice and clean
Get
with
it
the
done.
year.
Yeah, it's cleaner.
okay.
Start at the beginning of the new year with a new thing, so.
All right.
Is there a way to, I know somebody had asked it, there would be no more additions to the agenda for, is that?
I think we just, at this point,
Yeah, that's just
yeah, yeah. And
administrative.
when anytime White has a request, he always sends them to Alex and I before we approve it. We'll just say, we're not taking any more agenda additions for fences.
Yeah, I mean, it's our prerogative on
Prerogative.
whether we
If you
put
receive
something
them
on the
after
agenda
the
or not.
first meeting of the BZA,
I think we're
it'll be
in
on their
agreement.
agenda the next month anyway, so.
Okay, Mr. Kendrick, if you'll give us our first reading, please.
This is an ordinance to amend Article 2 entitled definitions, to amend the existing definitions for fence, property lines. They add definitions for privacy fence, wall fence, natural fence, setting fence, and they add section K entitled erection, location, and construction of exterior fences and walls to Article 5 entitled district development criteria of Appendix A entitled zoning ordinance. Be ordained by the city council as follows. Section 1, Article 2 entitled definitions amended to include fence, property lines, front property lines, side property lines, rear property lines, corner lots, and diagram. Section 2, that Article 2 is, Article 2 entitled definitions amended to add definition for privacy fence, wall fence, natural fence, sitting fence, and accessible alley. Section 3, the Article 5 entitled district development criteria is added to add section K entitled erection, location, construction of exterior walls and fences of Appendix A of the zoning ordinance. Section 4, that all provisions of Article 5 5 entitled List of Development Criteria of Appendix A is to remain in full force and effect. Section 5, that tonight is at 6 o'clock is the time and place for the public hearing, at which time all persons interested will be heard. Section 6, amending part of provision of order declared to be unconstitutional and invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction. All other parts of the provision remain in full force and effect. And Section 7, the order is become effective on January the 1st, 2023.
Thank you, Mr. Kendrick. Is there a motion for unanimous consent?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Smith, and that was Mrs. Gear. A motion for unanimous consent, if you can call roll, please. Ms. Salter?
Counselor Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Counselor Gear?
Yes.
Counselor Allamon?
Yes.
Counselor Wolverton?
Yes.
Counselor Sims?
Here.
Counselor Smith?
Yes.
Counselor Nelms?
Yes.
Counselor Andrus?
Yes.
Counselor Harden?
Yes.
And Counselor Jones?
Yes. Okay, that motion passes 10-0. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Harden, and was that Miss Andrus?
Miss Andrus.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna move over and sit next to you.
We're gonna just not let him go to those football games anymore.
My ears are still ringing.
We need to just say last name instead of say new.
Andrus moves.
Okay, so it's been,
Andrus seconds.
we have a motion by Mr. Harden, second by Ms. Andrus. Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Gwaltney?
No.
Counselor Gear?
Yes.
Did you say no?
I said no.
You said no, okay. Counselor Allamon?
Yes.
Counselor Wolverton?
Yes.
Counselor Sims?
Yes.
Counselor Smith?
Yes.
Counselor Nelms?
Yes.
Counselor Andrus?
Yes.
Counselor Harden?
Yes.
And Counselor Jones?
Yes. Thank you. That passes 9-1, and that is ordinance 22-198.
No, it's,
2057.
yes. 2857.
I'm sorry. Ordinance
2857.
2857. Is that right? 2857. 2857. Thank you. Ordinance 2857 has been approved. Okay. 050822, public hearing set for December 12th at 6 p.m. to consider revisions to the tree and landscape ordinance. We'll carry that over without objection for the December 12th meeting. Okay, and then moving to the committee referral agenda, we just had the one, we had the 3 additions, so I had read those out. So
Yeah,
is
I
there
would make a motion to approve the amended committee referral agenda.
Second.
Okay, moved by Counselor Smith, second by Counselor Nelms. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. 10-0, that passes. Other new business? 2011-22, request to set a public hearing for consideration of front yard fence variance at 1625 Oxmoor Road. We're going to, without objection, we're going to set that public hearing for December 12th at 6 p.m. Okay, 2111-22, request to set a public hearing for consideration of front yard fence variance at 1714 Ridge Road. Without objection, we're going to set that public hearing for the same time, December 12th, 2022 at 6 p.m. 2211-22, request to set public hearing for consideration of sign variance at 320 Oxmoor Road, coming to us from Jason Russell, Homewood Hardware. We're going to, without objection, we're going to set that public hearing for December 12th at 6 p.m. 2311-22, request for consideration of ABC 040 retail beer and 060 retail table wine on and off premises for Sorrel at 903 Broadway Street. As I understand, we have letters of no objection that have been received from both police and fire. Are there any questions on this item? Okay, so is there a motion as to having no objection to the issuance of the license?
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by Counselor Smith, second by Counselor Nelms. Any other questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed by the same sign. 10-0, that passes. And our last item, 2411-22, request for consideration of approval of vouchers for period of November 15th through November 28th, 2022. And Mr. Gwaltney has been reviewing those, so do you have a recommendation for us?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I reviewed the invoices this afternoon, and all questions were answered by the Finance Department, Mr. Burgett. So I would make a motion for approval.
Second.
Okay, and that was moved by Counselor Gwaltney, and that was seconded down there by Counselor Smith.
We have 2811.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. 10-0, that passes. That's resolution 22.
I got 207. What'd you got? 207.
207.
207.
And we do have an additional item.
And then we have one more item, I was just teasing with you. 281122, request to change the council meeting date from December 26th back to December 19th. So is there a motion to move that?
Motion to
So
make that.
moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, Counselor Smith, and that's Counselor Nelms again.
So,
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. That passes 10-0. Have I missed anything?
And that's resolution 22208. We'll have to type one up.
Which one?
Yep, that is actually a resolution, so it'd be 22208.
Oh, okay.
I just have to type it up.
2220,
We add it
okay.
on the floor.
208 would be the last one. Okay, great. Okay. We're now down to the mayor. You have comments for us tonight?
Just a few. First of all, great job, Dr. Jones.
Oh, thank you.
We hope Alex is feeling better, but we feel just as privileged to be in your capable hands. So thank you very much. Hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Just a couple of just really reminders. We have the Christmas parade next week along with the lighting of the star on Tuesday. So hopefully everybody can or will be in town and can make that. On Sunday, December 11th, because the gentlemen of Homewood don't want the ladies having all of the fun in the Witches Ride, there is the Walk for a Clause on December 11th at 2 o'clock, from 2 o'clock till 8 o'clock. And this is, proceeds are going to the Mike Sly Foundation for prostate cancer research. And you'll see a bunch of men walking around in Santa Claus outfits and throwing out candy to children and everything. So it's a wonderful event if you guys can make it out. Don't forget, there's pictures with Santa Claus at Sims Garden on weekends from starting December 1st all the way through the 18th, just on the weekends. And then the Hanukkah menorah lighting, remind us what that date is, Mr. Sims? December 21st. I knew it was later, but wanted to make sure everybody writes those down and hopefully can attend all those events. And that's it.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, Counselor Gwaltney.
I don't have any comments. I just had a question from Ms. Salter. The only thing that I saw from police was the application that they were good with, police and fire were good with Soho Socials permit. I didn't see anything for Sorelli. Did they provide that? I'd like to at least have it for record.
Yes,
I didn't see anything in the box over there either. So they did?
we did get it.
Okay.
I may not have made it to your box, but yes, we did get it.
Okay,
Plus
yeah.
Sorelli.
Will you share a copy of that with me?
I'll send it to you,
All right,
sir.
thank you. I will set public safety for after finance.
Okay,
I
great.
assume at 5 p.m. and no other comments.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Gwaltney. Counselor Gear.
Just thank you, Mayor, for mentioning Sims Garden Photos with Santa. That's one of their big fundraisers, and it really is super cute, no matter how old your kids are. So if you haven't been by there this year to support Sims, that's a good time to do that. And there are only a few slots left each weekend. I believe it's 3 weekends, so check out the site on Facebook or the website. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Counselor Gear. Counselor Alleman.
No comments tonight, thank you.
Are you not going to comment on the wonderful ordinance that passed tonight that you've been working on since the beginning of your term?
Well, sure, thank you.
Okay, good.
Mr. Jones. I do want to say that I appreciate the council taking this on, and it's a wonderful opportunity to be able to reflect on more pressing issues for the city of Homewood, and I'm happy for the BZA to take on the role of
Fence
taking care of
warden.
zones for fencing
That's what you think
variances.
Perfect. I just knew you had to get that off your chest. Okay. Okay, Counselor Wolverton.
Yeah, I think I've got one new item that I saw, so we'll set.
Counselor Wolverton, I'm not going to ask you this week, but moving forward, you owe me from last week. So there will be a time when I'm going to ask to go before you.
Should we not
'Cause-
just schedule Public Works after to prevent that
I mean,
issue
I
from
sat
happening?
through
I said it last
an
week.
hour.
Well, there was no, last week?
Oh, last week was awful. I had one item that was being carried over.
Gotcha.
And I sat for an hour after you said you were going to be there and you were not there. So
It didn't affect the committee, though. I mean,
it did affect my committee. We all had to wait around to carry one item over. So I'm just asking, I'm not going to ask tonight because I only have one item, you only have one item.
sure.
But there will be a time, well, I will call that favor in.
Okay,
It's fine.
so you're going to be right after.
After public safety.
Okay.
And then just wanted to highlight the HEC had a couple great events in the last month or so, where they had, I think, over 40 trees that were donated to residents and/or other parts of town, and then a follow-up event with some tree planting around town as well. The 6th annual Turkey Trot happened at Patriot Park, well, in and around Patriot Park in West Homewood, Thursday morning. It was a fun event, so thank you to the sponsors. There are several businesses that helped provide drinks and snacks and such. And then I just wanted to wish my daughter Ruby good luck in the spelling bee. She is going to the spelling bee for Hall Kent on Friday. She won for her class, so good luck to her and to all of the other participants. So she's very excited.
Wonderful.
That's it.
Good luck to Ruby. That's great. Okay, Counselor Sims.
I have no comments tonight, thank you.
Okay, Counselor Smith.
Yes, I'll set special issues for after, honestly, do you want to go before me? Because I have more issues than, but you have to stay for my committee anyway, so never mind, that doesn't help.
Does it help any other P&D committee members? Andy?
No, Andy's not on special issues.
Right, so he could leave.
True.
Yeah, right. Andy,
You have one item and I have four.
right.
You want to just go before me?
What do you think, Andy? Okay, whatever, it doesn't matter to me.
Well, I'm gonna set special issues after P&D, just to go crazy. So I'm gonna let Jennifer go before me. And.
That's very nice of you.
Mostly just to help Andy.
Brian, are we okay back here? I'm keeping hearing these
Yeah, I know.
noises.
I'm like, are we about to have some sort of technical problem? And I'm just making an announcement for the Historic Preservation Commission. They are not going to meet in December. So there you go. And that's all I got.
Great, thank you, Counselor Smith. Counselor Nelms.
No comments tonight?
Okay, great. Counselor Andrus.
Okay, so I am following Public Works, and then we'll be attending. Brian, did you get those pictures I sent you? I have
Yes,
to
that was the noise.
I
was
thought that's what that might be.
trying
I
to pull them
apologize.
up.
My
Here we
fault.
go. I'll pull them up for you, sorry.
Okay. So I have to give thanks to the Homewood Fire Department. Friday night, we came back from Dave's Pizza with my entire family in town from Texas and Florida, and we had locked ourselves out of the house. And nobody had the right key on them. That's a long story. We have 3 different keys for our house now. And so all of the so there they are on Windsor Drive.
Wow.
So I got the screenshot on the 911 app, and I sent it to the mayor and the rest of you guys and said, okay, I know we locked ourselves out of the house. Anyway, there's my husband being pushed into the dining room window. So all of the downstairs, which is still the upstairs because we're on a hill, all those windows are painted shut. So that's really fun to admit to the fire department. And then all the all the windows, but even higher than that, are all locked because we tried every one of them with they did. So anyway, they finally get a big crowbar and they jam open one of the windows, and then immediately I'm like, oh my God, wait, you can't go in there because one of my dogs is aggressive. She will bite the crap out of you, so you cannot go in there. So it had to be an Andress that went through the window. So it was Keith, and anyway, so I really want to thank the fire department to come out the Friday after Thanksgiving, and then my dad is mortified that we use taxpayer dollars for this, and I explained that our fire department is the best, and they do lift assists, and they do all kinds of things throughout the community, and anyways, I do want to just give a big thanks to them for that.
I just never know what's going to come with the announcements, you know, it's just God.
Oh my gosh.
That's an incredible
Well,
story.
I really just thought, like I said, it's a long story, but we got a new doorknob, and it's just got one of those little flick things that you flick, and one of the kids flicked it, and they didn't have that key, and Keith and I didn't have our keys because we didn't drive, and so we couldn't get in the house. We could not get in the house.
Wow.
And so we thought they would just come and just jimmy that one lock, and they were like, oh, no, we don't do that. So they took a big crowbar and jammed open that painted shut dining room window from 1948.
Oh, gosh.
So that's
All
it.
right. Okay. Counselor Harden.
Man, I don't know how I top that. I'm just belated telling everybody I'm thankful for all the work you guys do here.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and Walter, if you haven't gotten your check, we have paper checks this time, so there are checks in your box before you leave. You might want to go grab those.
Oh, wow. Okay. I can go to McDonald's now. Okay. That is great. Well, the only announcement that I had was the city manager meeting is going to be on the 30th at 5:30. And Mayor, when is the lighting of the star? Do you know what time that starts? 6.
Sorry, the parade starts at 6:30, the lighting of the stars whenever we get 6:40.
Okay. Okay, got it. Okay.
The Presiglios will already be hung with the star, and as soon as the parade gets there, then we will stop, light the star, and continue.
Got it. Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
And you're
Okay.
saying finance too? It's
Yeah,
just-
5 o'clock.
Okay.
Finance will be at 5 o'clock. And I appreciate all of you for being patient with me tonight, and I hope Mr. Wyatt feels better. But I really didn't know until late today that he was not going to be able to join us, so I appreciate your patience. Yeah, that's me in there. Yeah, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah.
And we are working on you a float for the parade, and we'll let you know the theme and how we need you to dress. So that we know President White's not going to want to wear at least a Christmas sweater, but more to come on that to let y'all know. I think what time to be at the library too. I think around 6, but I'll send y'all an email out about it.
Great. We look forward to it. You do such a great job every year, so that should be a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other final comments? If not, we are adjourned. Thank you.